Hey, good morning, everyone. Michael Fanning. This is Warm Up 296. And today I was listening to a podcast by Tim Ferriss, and it was so interesting because he was interviewing Jerry Seinfeld. And if you're familiar with Jerry Seinfeld, obviously you know the Seinfeld show, which ran for 9 years. But I mean, on top of that, the successes he has had have been phenomenal, and the life that he has built for himself and his family is amazing. But you know, he started somewhere just like all of us have, and I loved listening to him talk about the simplicity of how he built his success. And so Tim was just asking him some basic questions about how he got started and who he is, and I'll put the link to the podcast. But a couple things came up for me when I was listening to this. And Jerry said this, he said, you know, if he thinks about his world is kind of broken into work versus passion. His passion, right, is being funny on stage or being funny on the set and letting his comedy shine. But that's his passion. In order to really live and conduct his passion in a way that is fulfilling for himself, he also has to work. And the other part of life is work. And he said this was interesting. He said, work is sometimes like walking in deep, wet mud with a headwind, right? Walking in deep, wet mud with a headwind is what work feels like. And I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but you know, what are the things that you know you got to do every day that's the work that allows you to achieve your passion? And sometimes at work, we don't want to do it, so we procrastinate, we make excuses. And so what he did is he said, let me explain to you my work. And so his work was he committed to himself that he needed to, every single day, he needed to write, just write. And whether it was a funny joke or not funny, and he would just notice things in life. And he had a yellow pad and he had a smaller book. And the yellow pad was where he had more of his refined kind of, comedy kind of mapped out. But the smaller book was just topics or things that he would notice. And he would commit to a time. So he had his tablet, he'd have a cup of coffee, he'd have his pen, and he'd have a timer on it. And say, here's how long I'm gonna do this for. And he would just sit there and compose and write. And then what he'd do is after he'd do that, and he would get it refined enough to where he felt that he needed to now put it into his show or put it into his TV series, then he would test it, and then he would see what the reaction was, and then he'd come back and refine it. But the passion was delivering it, but the work was compiling it, right? And so think about in your world today, the things that that you want to be great at, how many of you are willing to put in the work, right? And when we think about this, when we do coaching, when we coach with people in my world of real estate, there's things that they should be doing every day, but yet they don't, because sometimes it feels like you're walking in mud with a headwind. But you've got to walk in that mud with that headwind if you want to get to that point where your passion is. And then just a couple of the things that he said in here. He says that one of the things he realizes, and he does this with his kids, is that anything you want to accomplish and you want to do well, you have to give it a system, right? It has to have a system. And so the system for him is simplicity. And so he gives an example of his daughter who has been given this gift of writing, much like Jerry has. And he says, but here's the problem. He says, think about the gift as a horse. Somebody gives you a horse that you've never ridden and you don't know how to ride a horse. The gift is there. But if you don't have a system to refine your ability to ride that horse, it doesn't matter if you have that gift. And so you got to figure out the system. So the system for him with his daughter was simply this. A system is, okay, I want to learn to write. So, okay, so how much time are you going to commit to writing every day? All right, what is that time frame? Well, I don't like writing for an hour. Okay, can we start with 20 minutes? Can we start with 30 minutes? And then when you're done, you're done. Stop, right? But that's all you're going to do. You're not going to do anything else. There's going to be no distractions. All you're going to do is sit there and write. And if it's good writing, great. If it's bad writing, great. It doesn't matter. He says, just don't break the chain. Don't break the chain. Do it every single day. And every single day, if you can, add a little more time to it, add a little more time to it, add a little more time to it. And it's going to feel like walking in mud with a headwind. But guess what? It gets easier. And as it gets easier, you flourish. And guess what? Pretty soon you know how to ride that gift. You know how to ride that horse. And now that gift is going to flourish inside of you and your passion is going to come out. But how many of us, and this is my whole point to my warm-up today, how many of us are committed to the work? We want the passion, but we're not willing to commit to walking in the mud with the headwind. You got to walk in the mud with the headwind to get to that passion of what you want to accomplish in life. That's his point. And to do that, build it into a system. Build it into a system. All right, everybody, I'll put a link to the podcast by Tim Ferriss. Take a listen to it. Ask yourself, how much are you working to make your passion happen? and how are you not breaking the chain and you're doing it consistently. All right, everybody, hey, make it a great day, be awesome, and help somebody. Talk to you later.